What's up, guys? Midar, True Good Development. Today I want to talk about something that just happened to me, or not so much just happened to me, but something that I have recently worked on, okay, and something, or recently thought of, and something that I've been sleeping on for a little bit. My focus through this channel is to share with you my personal experiences, the things that make me succeed in real estate, and hopefully you will be able to benefit from it as well. So whenever something like this come up, I'm very excited to share it with everyone and see if anybody had similar experiences, and of course share those with me in your comments, or if you have any questions about exactly what I'll be sharing with you. So what it is what is the difference between return on equity and cash on cash return? And why it is important is because if you haven't heard me say this before, my process in real estate is not about getting rich. It's about building wealth. I'm interested in compounding my money so that it gets me the most, so I can get the most out of the money. Not so much money in my pocket, but money that is out there that is making more money. So the concept of return on equity becomes vital to that formula. So let me explain it. By the way, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. It's free. It's the only way to support the channel, and it will ensure that you get these videos whenever I put them out. So let me get back to it. So cash on cash versus return on equity. And the best way for me to explain these things is to actually give you an example with numbers. So it makes a lot more sense. At least it simplifies it for me that way. So cash on cash, let me explain, is basically you go and buy a place and you invest $100,000, say, of your own money into that deal. You rent that out, and let's say your monthly income or net income, NOI, is $1,000. Let's assume there's no debt on this deal. Again, I just want to simplify it so you understand the concept, and then you can add on to it whatever your situation is. So you got $1,000 invested in this deal. It's making $12,000 a year, right? $1,000 a month, $12,000 a year. Now you take that NOI, that $12,000, and divide it over your cash input, and that was $1,000. Your return on that cash is 12%. So your cash on cash return is 12%. And that's good and dandy. Now, return on equity is a little different. Now, in that first year, if nothing else changes in the value of that deal, they're gonna give you the same return, because your equity in that $100,000 deal is that full $100,000, right? So you're still getting that 12% return. However, let's compound this, right? So say you got that deal at $100,000 because you knew somebody that knew somebody, or it was a fire sale, or whatever the case may be, and now you got it at $100,000 when in fact the market value for it is $150. Okay, so you're already at $50,000 in the money. Now, when you go to compute your return on equity, you're going to take into account that $150,000. So your rent is still the same. You're taking that $12,000 and you're dividing it over that $150. And I'm not good at math like that, so I'm going to go ahead and compute that real quick. You got 12,000 over 150, right? That's 8% return on equity. See how that changed? You went from a 12% return to an 8% return, just like that. Now that does not, depending on what your game plan is, that might not be a bad situation. You got into this deal, you knew that you're gonna get a better, you knew you were going to be in that money. You knew it was a fire sale, right? And you know that you got it for less than what the market is, and your strategy was to go ahead and rent it out for the cash flow. That's all good. What I want to point out is you don't want to maybe sleep on this deal for too long. What do I mean by this? So this just happened to me, and again, this is why I'm bringing this up. So I have a few rental properties, and you sort of get to the point where things are on autopilot. You got your tenants in there, everything is well and dandy, and you go a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you're making other deals and things are going great. And all of a sudden you realize, wait a minute, I have so much equity built into some of these deals that my return does not make sense any longer. So case in point, so using our example, you have that $12,000 a month, a year. Even if you're raising your rents, which I hope you are, because your money, the value of your money diminishes every year, right? So you got to account for that inflation. So I'm sure you do that. And if you don't, you need to start doing that. In any event, you have that $12,000 in rent. If you're going up 3%, let's say, you're hiking that rent. I shouldn't say hike really, because that's fair. You're increasing it fairly by 3% every year. Well, that 3% is never going to catch up with the built-in equity if that neighborhood is on the rise, or if you've gotten that property, like I said, already with $50,000 under market. There is no way, no matter how much you raise that rent, you're not going to catch up with that equity. So compound that. Let's say you have that same rental, you already have $50,000 in the money, the neighborhood is on fire, and you've had that rental for 3, 4, 5 years. And now that property upraises, let's really make it ridiculous, right? Let's say that property upraises at $250,000. Your rent at this point, let's say, is $14,000 a year. Again, I'm gonna go into my calculator here. I should really work on my math. So you got 14,000, let's make it 15,000. Let's say you've been really good at raising your rent. You got 15,000 over, again, that full equity. And remember, you have full equity in this place. You don't have debt. So you're at 250,000. So again, that's 15,000 NOI over $250,000. Guess what? Your return on equity is now 6%. That's assuming you raise your rent, because I know a lot of people don't. And, I did that too, because I had a really excellent tenant. They were paying even before the rent was due. But again, this is a business, and if you look at the model this way, if you keep compounding that equity and your rent is not going anywhere, you're really diminishing your returns on that equity. So again, we went from a 12% in year 1 to now 6% in year 5, and that is not completely out of order. That this happens. And if you have a portfolio and if you have some properties, please go back and look at how much you're vested in these properties and make sure that this is the game plan that you have. Now, here's why this becomes super important if you're looking to scale your business model. Well, you can't buy more properties if you don't have the money. So if you're fully vested in your deals, then you're really just working with a limited amount of money, that you have left over. So here's the trick, and here's what you want to do with these properties, and I will cover that in another video as well. I don't want these videos to be too long. Is you need to pull money out of those deals, and that's what I'm going to cover on the next time. But what I wanted to talk about today is cash on cash versus return on equity. There is a big difference. All right, hope this helps you guys. Like I said, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so, man. Just go ahead and click on that button. You'll keep getting my videos, and I guarantee you, I promise you, you will learn something. I've been doing this for 20 years, and if I'm missing the point on something, or if you're going through a particular situation and you're unsure on how to tackle it, just go ahead and shoot me a comment. I will get back to you. All right, see you on the next one.